It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, I'm back in the studio. Last week, I was down in Miami, Florida at the Xerox Partner Show. Before I get into talking about the show, sharing some of my thoughts around that show, I just got to do a really big thank you. And that thank you is to all of the fans of the end of the day with Ray that came up to me. People from Portugal, people from Spain, people from Italy, people from England, talking to me about how much they appreciate what I do on the end of the day with Ray. You can't imagine how good that makes me feel. Because, ladies and gentlemen, putting together a show to beat the crap out of status quo in a declining industry, guess what? There's a lot of naysayers out there. So anytime I'm out in the marketplace and I get to hear from the fans, I truly, truly do appreciate it. Thank you all so much. And I'll do everything I can to make sure that we keep up with everything you expect this show to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this Xerox meeting. We make work work. That's Xerox's new motto. I kind of like that. We make work work. But, folks, I got to tell you something. The way we make work work isn't anything like we used to. Let's just start there. But before we get into this, I want to do a shout out to Steven, their CEO. You know, we get there on a Wednesday, and they have this little reception. You know, you sign in, you get your lanyard. And, you know, he stood up there and he was telling everybody that Xerox always gives back to all the communities where they have events. And this year in Miami, they were working with Uplift Literacy. What a cool thing. I mean, they're giving books to young kids. And in the books, you know, we write a message. So one day the kid gets the book, he opens it up, he gets the message. And folks, I just think that's just cool. And no matter what we do to give back to the community is always a good thing. So thank you very much, Stephen, for what you're doing there at Xerox and all the Xerox team. And I hope it was very beneficial to our friends at Uplift Literacy. But folks, Xerox has a tough road to hoe, just like IBM did. You know, IBM, it was started in 1911. Okay? Xerox was started in 1906. In IBM's case, by the early 1900s, IBM was losing billions a year, and for the first time had to lay off thousands of people. I think about our friends at Xerox. The increased awareness brought on by the pandemic has opened the door to business printing realities. And no, it's not about A3 and A4 anymore. It's about the fact that end users are trying to incorporate processes to give their internal and external customers a better experience. And we all know that having to stop and print or scan something is not the best experience regarding navigating, dealing with documents. It would be so much easier if we could just keep everything behind glass, right? We all get that. Of course, people are going to print. And I don't expect Xerox to throw the baby out with the bathwater by any means. You know, Stephen mentioned in his presentation, which, by the way, I got to tell you, you know, Stephen, you did a great presentation. You know, he's a very, very passionate CEO. And I believe this wholeheartedly. If Stephen and his team can turn Xerox and reinvent it, they will study that story in college around business years to come. They'll study it. This 100-year-old company that sold copy machines and printers had to reinvent themselves to live in a modern world. The success of this is going to be fantastic for those leaders. And that's probably why Steve is so passionate about taking this company to a new place. But it's not going to be easy. Stephen mentioned in his presentation that Xerox is doing 30 billion pages a month. 30 billion pages a month. And folks, I got to tell you something. That sounds like a big number. I wanted to kind of yell out of the audience, but I didn't want to do it. You know, I was behaving myself down there in Miami, believe it or not. But I wanted to yell out, you know, well, what were the pages being printed in 2018? And if Stephen was honest, he would give me a number that was probably 20 or 25% more than the number of 30 billion. But here's the deal, folks. It's okay that print volumes are declining as long as you put in place additional ways to capture revenue and profit from the decline in print. And folks, I want to share some stuff with you. They showed this slide. I believe this was his COO, John, who showed this slide. And I thought this slide was very, very interesting. And they're talking about cognitive AI. Cognitive AI, machine learning, learning from repetitive processes, if you will. I want you all to think about Xerox. Think about their deliverable. Document management, scanning, information being moved around, in and out of the cloud, apps that they put on the machines. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, RPA technology, augmented reality technologies from CareAR, I believe it's going to be the RPA technologies and the augmented reality technologies from CareAR that will definitely help transform Xerox. They'll transform them. It'll make up the revenues from the decline in the printed page regarding business. Because businesses are going to print less every single day, we all know it. But what organizations are going to put in place the tools to help those end users, those workers, navigate technology? When I think about those Xerox apps, they were way ahead of time on that. Those apps are pretty damn cool. They do a lot of neat stuff. When I think about their RPA technologies, folks, Xerox has some capabilities to do some interesting things around managing customers' information. But I want to take it a step further, because I listened to this, and as I listened to this and I saw this slide, I started using my imagination. Before I do that, I got to share this with you. So you got Steven, the CEO of Xerox, up there talking about AI, the importance of using AI in business processes and how that world's going to change around AI and how it's going to help customer experiences improve dramatically. AWS is investing $100 million in generative AI center in a race to keep up with Microsoft and Google. Amazon, Google, Microsoft. They're all getting into this AI space. And they're going to try to figure out how to help people navigate through what? The intersection between that digital and physical world. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking about this for a while. This isn't to blow my own horn. I just want to share my thoughts, because it's really about this intersection in my world. And I want to share my thoughts on this intersection between the digital and physical world, something I've been talking about as far back as 2017 and even further back. But these are a couple articles that I found, on my LinkedIn profile that you can find and read. But at the end of the day, as customers are being navigated through that intersection between the digital and physical world, whoever those navigators are, the more they can help that customer in a digital landscape, guess what? The more that customer is going to engage with them. Because the customer doesn't want to have to live in a 100% physical world. And the customer, they don't want to live in a 100% digital world. Because people are not digital. But customer experience is found in the intersection between the digital and physical worlds. I've been saying this for a long, long time. And now, as we see what's going on with ChatGPT, as we see what's going on with AI, the world has to wake up to that reality. We can't be a digital transformation company if we don't allow our end users to buy our products in a digital landscape, e-commerce, if you will. We can't be a digital services company if all of our tools and all of our processes were built for a different time. We have to figure out, how are we going to help our clients? How are we going to give customer-centric deliverables in the intersection between that digital and physical world? That's the reality. That's the question all our industry has to answer. Because I believe this, it used to be about the work office. That's what it was about. We called on offices. We called on the leaders in those offices. We ran around and we tried to figure out where we were going to put the printer. Whose desk was it going to go on? We tried to figure out where the MFP was going to go in the building. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's about the work of the worker. It's about the work of the worker. The remote worker. Because every business has to have workers that can live in a remote world. That's why I hate the word hybrid worker. I hate it. I know Xerox uses it too. I just hate the word. Because it's just like we're not going to commit. We think we got the office. We're hoping we got the remote worker going back to the office. And if they go back to the office, we're going to be able to put the MFP there. Folks, forget about all that. It's about the work of the worker. Whether you're Xerox, Ricoh, Sharp, Toshiba, it doesn't matter. The job is to help the worker with their work, not to help the worker have a piece of equipment to do work. Maybe they get a piece of equipment, maybe they don't. But understanding their work and how they're going to have a better experience in doing that work. Xerox, we make work work. We make work work for the worker. Think about it. Robotic process automation, digital transformation, augmented reality, all coming together. Ladies and gentlemen, our industry's changing drastically. And it's only going to be those organizations, whether you're Xerox or any other players in the space, that understand this. Customer experience is determined in the intersection between the digital and physical world. We better figure out how to live in that intersection and deliver exceptional experiences in that intersection. And we better be willing to face a reality. You ready for my next slide? We got a generational problem. And the industry must regeneralize itself. I made up that word. That's why it was hard to say. Regeneralize itself. Folks, think about it. We got the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Generation Z. Lorella Fernandez from Cocerca gave a presentation. And she said that, I think it was, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. I can't remember the exact slide, and I didn't take a picture of it, if you will. But she said that the Gen Zs, 15% of them don't buy in print. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. The reason that Gen Z doesn't mind print is because they just got used to it and they have to do it because the baby boomer bosses, well, they're going to want print. But the baby boomer bosses are leaving the office and the millennials are taking over. The Generation X and the millennials are taking over the management and the leadership of these companies. And you know what they do that the baby boomers don't do? They listen to the employees and they will do everything they can to make sure that employee, that Generation Z employee, gets the best experience possible while they work at the company. The baby boomers, let's be honest, I'm one of them. We're damn near tyrants. Ha! What are you talking about? Just do it this way. It'll work fine. We're just not as, nice to the younger generation, maybe. But I got to tell you something. The millennials, Generation X, they're going to do everything they can do to make sure that Generation Z has the best work experience possible. It's a fact. Look around. Look at all the things that have happened over the last decade. And as these Generation X and millennials start taking over these corporations, you know what? The Gen Zs are going to keep demanding. Why in the hell are we doing these outdated processes? Your granddad's not here anymore. We got to fix this. And they're going to set out on a path to make sure the processes to help the worker give them the greatest experience. And we all know, because I've said it like 4 times in today's episode, I believe the greatest experience is when you can navigate between the digital and physical world. That's the greatest experience. Ladies and gentlemen, I got no more slides, but let me share some thoughts on this show. I believe the show was good. I'm not going to say it was great. I'm not going to say it was the greatest show I ever went to. It was the first show that Xerox had since 2018. And folks, they got their partners together. But when you walk around the room, whether it's a Xerox meeting, whether it's a BTA meeting, a CDA meeting, a Ricoh meeting, a Toshiba meeting, a Sharp meeting, we have a problem. And that problem is we don't have enough young workers making decisions. That problem is we got baby boomers still driving the bus. They're driving a bus. They got a bunch of Generation Zs, millennials, and Generation X's in the bus screaming. They're screaming. The passengers in the bus are screaming because the baby boomer's driving the bus and they think he's blind because they're getting ready to run off a cliff. We can change it, but we got to bring some younger generations into our organizations. I wish Xerox the best luck. I think they're on the right track. And Stephen, if you and your team can pull this off, they will in fact be reading about that reinvention in business college courses one day. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.